Hi, how you doing? I fucking love Jiu Jitsu, but this video isn't about that. This is 5 things about Jiu Jitsu that I hate. Before we get going, I want to shout out to a couple of people. Firstly, Digital Dan. He's a roller coaster YouTuber who I got to hang out with recently. We went on the UK's highest and fastest roller coaster, Hyperia at Thorpe Park. It was amazing. I had a lot of fun, even though it scared the ever-loving crap out of me. I kind of get why people get obsessed with them, but in reality, I'm just not cut out to do that very often. I'm going to stick to choking people into unconsciousness and getting punched in the face. The second person I want to say hi to is my mate Stu. He kindly sent me over a package of snacks from the US for me and my wife to try on our other channel. We haven't got round to doing that, so I figured I'd just do it here. I'm going to drag this out over a bunch of videos. But today, I'm going to try this. It's a baby Ruth. Despite being an absolute chocoholic and having been to the States many times, I've never had one. So let's fix that. When it feels like a fairly standard chocolate bar, right? Peanuts, I believe. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty standard. Strangely lumpy. I'm not sure if I like that. Maybe it melted in transit. I don't know. I'm going to eat it anyway, so let's give it a go. I mean, that's okay. It's a little bit disappointing in that there's not a lot going on. It feels like there should be more going on than that, but peanuts are good, caramel's good, nougat's good. American chocolate is all right. It's mainly sweet without much flavour, but, you know, not so much that it's going to put me off. I could definitely eat these. Okay, that's bad. Got more peanuts this time. I'm going to keep eating this. Hang on a minute. Sorry. I'm going to keep eating this as I film, so, yeah, you'll just have to live with that one, I'm afraid. Anyway, let's start with the first of 5 things that really gets my goat, and that's warm-ups. Maybe it's a sign that I'm an eternal purple belt at heart, but I really hate warm-ups, and not just because they're hard work. Running around a room, waving my arms in a circle, bear crawls, push-ups, you know the sort of thing. It's just a waste of everybody's time. I fully accept that getting your heart rate up a little, doing some stretching and movement is a good idea before leaping straight into full-speed rolling, or technique, or whatever it is you do at the club you go to. But there are definitely better ways of doing it than making everyone spend a good portion of the time they're paying for doing basic cardio. I mean, this probably deserves a video in its own right, but at a really fundamental level, I don't want to do a fitness session. I don't want to do CrossFit. I definitely don't want to do what is essentially 1980s aerobics. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't pay a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor to do it. If I've got a 2-hour slot to train Jiu-Jitsu, then I'd like to spend that 2 hours doing, well, Jiu-Jitsu. And if you as an instructor don't trust your students to take charge of their own warm-up before or at the start of the class and really feel the need to make everyone do the same thing for 20 minutes, then at least make it Jiu-Jitsu themed. If you can't come up with a way to get people moving and get their heart rates up that's actually Jiu-Jitsu themed, then maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't be fucking teaching it in the first place. Anyway, let's bring the anger levels down a little and look at the next thing I hate about Jiu-Jitsu. Mat snacks. If you've spent any time rolling on the mats, then you know what I'm talking about. 1 minute, you're halfway through setting up that amazing back take you've been working on for weeks, and the next minute you're on all fours, hacking and coughing, trying to dislodge the stray pube that somehow found its way into the back of your throat. It's probably best not to spend too much time dwelling on it. The thought is almost always worse than the reality, until it isn't a hair, but something a little more solid. I mean, what the fuck? I know those mats get swept and mopped on a daily basis, but I regularly lose my shit at people wandering off them and back on again in bare feet, or even worse, stepping on them in outdoor shoes. I know it's just a fact of grappling, but No. Let's move on. For some reason, when someone has been doing jiu-jitsu for years, they seem to think they're magically qualified to start handing out life advice. Or even worse, medical advice. Just the usual bullshit. Vaccines don't work. COVID was a scam. Climate change isn't real. You know the sort of thing. All the way to the glorious and genuinely quite terrifying claims that modern medicine's just a con to make money, and doctors are trying to kill you. Germs don't cause disease, and the only medicine you actually need is to avoid chemicals and lift heavy things. Just because you're surprisingly skilled at murdering people and can use a search engine with a modicum of competence, it doesn't mean that you have all the answers, that years of medical school and scientific qualifications aren't valid. Just stick to your fucking lane. I won't go to my friend with a PhD in virology and ask her for advice on the nuances of the dogfight from bottom half guard. And I'm certainly not going to come to a jiu-jitsu coach for advice on how chemotherapy actually works. Just fucking stop it, okay? Only 2 more left. Let's talk about Matbur. Perhaps it's because I came to jiu-jitsu from wrestling and I'm used to wearing boots, but I seem to get Matbur on the tops of my feet all the fucking time. You know, that little friction burn where you take off a few layers of skin and it just never seems to heal. If you don't put a dressing on it, then it oozes just enough to stick to your sock, so you rip the newly formed scab off when you take your socks off. And if you do put a dressing on it, the damn thing catches on your socks and rolls up, making it even more uncomfortable. I mean, maybe I'm just not sock competent, but I've been wearing socks for quite a long time now, and I'm pretty sure I'm not doing anything fundamentally wrong. Every time you go training again, you risk opening it up. The only answer is to take time off until it's healed. And who the hell's going to do that for a little ouchie on their foot? I struggle to lift my arm above horizontal without wanting to cry, and if that doesn't stop me from training, I'll be damned if a little Matbur will. But that doesn't mean I don't absolutely fucking hate it. And the last one. This is a personal bugbear of mine. Unwanted coaching. I'm not just talking about when you catch somebody while rolling and they start trying to massage their ego by talking you through the submission you're already clearly managing perfectly well without their help, though that is very irritating indeed. I'm more talking about the annoying habit some people have of interrupting you when you're training in order to teach you something. You know the sort of thing. Maybe it's an open mat, you're drilling with a friend, running through a technique and playing with a position, seeing where you can go and what you can do. And some numpty, usually a purple belt, comes over and stops you to show you where you're going wrong and how to do it right. I'm not going wrong. I'm just training. I've got more letters after my name than I have in it. I've got degree-level teaching qualifications. I've been doing martial arts for nearly 40 years now. I've got a really good understanding of how people learn, and more specifically, how I learn physical skills best. Being interrupted by someone who has no idea of the context of what is happening, thinking they know better than me, doesn't help any of us, especially when that person can't fucking teach in the first place. And I know this makes me look like a grumpy old man. But that's because I am a grumpy old man. I'm okay with that. How about you? Do you agree with me? Or have I missed the one that winds you up the most? Stick something in the comments and let me know. And you should probably subscribe too. Surprisingly, it's been shown that subscribers to my channel are significantly less likely to have old people stop in front of them for no reason. Who'd have thought? Sorry, I've been holding this all the time. I'm going to have to keep eating it because it's both slightly disappointing and very, very addictive. To those of you still here at the very end of the video, fight team.